OBI. So this new features in OBI is on the documentation center. All you have to do is write Ex Libris Knowledge Center new features OBI. Here you go. You get right to this presentation and the link to it, and it's right on here under Analytics, New Features OBI. So everything we're going to be mentioning today is in here, but we're not going to be necessarily going through step by step. Let's begin. So the first thing we're going to show is the ability to save and reuse column formulas. Not just column formulas, but anything you do with a column. For example, let me reconnect here because, you know, sometimes you're taking too long. Oh, look at that. It's about to expire. Keep me signed in. Okay. So I'm going to go back into Design Analytics. Oops. Let's do a little search here. Queensland. Okay. And Design Analytics. That just kind of refreshes everything. Okay. Let's make a new analysis on anything. New analysis, and we'll say, for example, physical items. And we'll say, for example, I want the barcode, or let's say the creation date, modification date, creation date, anything here, receiving date, and the title. And I want the ISBN. Now, let's say we only want those, we'll say filter greater than or equal to, and we'll say since January 1st, 2016. Okay, very simple report. Let's even make it less so it'll be a quicker report. We'll say received since April 1st. Now, if we change here any of these fields, and we think we might use this again in a future report after we do all kinds of configurations to the edit formula, then we can save this for future use. I'll show you what I mean. Let's say we want to take these ISBNs and we want to separate them. And we're going to combine two things here because there was a question recently about all of the fields which have semicolons. You can see these as semicolon delimited. How can I separate them? The subjects are also semicolon delimited. In the course reserves, there's places where we'll take the course instructor and it will also be semicolon delimited. Many places where there's a one-to-many relationship, not all of them, but many places where there's a one-to-many, we'll separate the values with a semicolon. And on the same documentation page, you've also got how to separate semicolon delimited fields right here. How to separate semicolon delimited fields to separate columns. So let's take a look at that. We're going to separate the fields, then we're going to save it for future use. So every time we do this, we're not going to have to reset up the fields. And this is something that you can only do in OBI 11.1.1.9, not in 11.1.1.7. So what we're going to do here's an example with instructors, but we're going to be doing it on semicolons. Here's one with the ISBNs. Okay. So it's really quite simple. We're going to take this expression here, and all we're going to do is for the first one, we'll make the N1, then we'll make the N2, then we'll make the N3. We don't even have to know what all of this means. All we have to do is copy and paste it. I'll show you what we mean. If someone wants to know what it means, they can take a look and start saying, okay, %1, and I have a caret sign. Maybe that's the beginning of the line to the end of the line. Every time there's a semicolon, we get a semicolon right here. Anyway, we don't even have to know all that. All we have to do is copy and paste. So let's take a look. I'm going to go back to the Criteria tab. And let's say I'm only interested in the first 3 ISBNs. So I will put out the ISBN 3 times. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to leave the original so we have something to compare. Now here, I'm going to say edit formula, and I'll say ISBN 1. I'll call it ISBN 1. And I'm going to paste now what I just took from the PowerPoint. So instead of N, I'll make this 1. Instead of column name, you see it says column name. I'm going to put the actual column name, which is what I just got here. This specific feature that I'm doing right now has always existed. We're going to save it in a moment, and that's new. So now I'll say that. That's going to give me the first value of before the semicolon. I'll take that with me to copy for the next one. Okay. Then I'll go to the next one. Edit formula. I'll just paste it, change that 1 to a 2, and I'll call this ISBN 2. Then I'll go to the third one, edit formula, paste it, change this to a 3, change this to a 3. Now, let's first make sure it works before we save them. We'll go back to the results. Let me get anything with an ISBN. I'll say filter ISBN is not null, just so we don't scroll down there. We'll say is not null. Great. Okay. Let's go see what we got. I clicked on the results tab and give it a minute to work. Here it comes. Okay, great. And we see it successfully separated them. You can see here's my first one, 119, etc. Here's my second one, 978, etc. So it did successfully separate them. Here's the 114, 978, 14, whatever. Well, the other one ends in 25. So it separated each of the ISBNs. Now, instead of needing to copy and paste that every time, I can save those for future use. This is new in this OBI, which is 11.1.1.9. So I'll take this, and I'll save column as. This is the new thing here, save column as. And down here, on the left, I can save it in these folders, either my folders being only me, the person I'm logged in now will see it, or shared folders, everybody will see it. Everybody in my institution. So I'll say, for example, save column as. Let's make it a little fancier even. I'll say edit formula, and I'll make this 1 be bold. And we'll close the bold. Okay. And I can even say font color, I think it's equals red, close the font. Okay, so now it's going to be red bold on the 1, so I know, that's the first one. So that's number 1. Okay, let's make sure that's correct before we save. Click in the results tab. Great. So we got the 1 there. We'll do that on 2 and 3, then we'll save them, and then we'll see that I can easily reuse them. So we'll take this one, edit formula, and instead of the 2, we'll do it like that. I'm going to say contains HTML markup, otherwise it'll just come out as the actual HTML. Edit formula 3, and now we'll save them. Save column as. So it's already suggesting to me where to save it. Out here under subject area contents physical items, and I'm going to call this ISBN 1. As you can see, I was already playing around and did the same thing for subjects. I'll call this ISBN 1. Then I'll save this one, save column as ISBN 2. And then I'll save this one, edit formula, save column as ISBN 3. Okay, I'm all done with this. I'm going to close it. I'm not even going to save the report, nothing. I'm going to say new, analysis. I come in tomorrow. My friend comes in later if I saved it in the shared folders. And I want to make a new report. And I don't want to have to say, oh, where's that PowerPoint? I want to copy the syntax. Oh, how did I make it last time? I'll copy it. I've got it already here. I just go to my folders, subject area contents, physical items, because that's where I saved it. And I'll take the ISBN 1, the ISBN 2, the ISBN 3, and maybe this time I also want the title. And maybe this time I also want the creation date. And maybe now I only want those with an item creation date filter greater than or equal to. We'll choose a different date this time. I'll say June 1st. Okay, and results. And now I'll have those fields exactly as I defined them before. I don't need to redefine them. So if the institution has special things they've done, maybe a replace or some kind of a case, then let's find something that's got an ISBN criteria. Last time we did ISBN is not no. Edit formula. Okay, so we'll just say, oh, you see, I can't, it also appears differently because I took a saved one. Let's throw in the regular ISBN and say it's not null, just so we can see an actual example here. Is not null. Wait for that to continue, that for results. Okay, and we see that for ones where there's an ISBN, it's already separating it for us. We don't have to redefine the whole formula. Okay, so that's the first one. That's the saving and reusing columns. Are there any questions or comments on that one? I'm back in the chat. I'm looking to see if there's any questions or comments. I think the webcam is on here. Now I see somebody else here. Benjamin, if you know how to turn off that webcam, feel free. Okay. Any questions or comments from anybody? Nothing. Okay, let's just make sure we're all still here and listening. Can you just do a hand raise if you're here? Okay, hands are going up. Great. So next, the certain sort options. Let's take an example this time in the e-inventory subject area. So I'll say new analysis, e-inventory. And let's say I'm looking for things about licenses. I see we have portfolio license, we have electronic collection license, maybe we have the licensor, the person who gives it, maybe we have more. So now OBIEE 11.1.1.9, which by the way, if you go to this help about Oracle OBIEE, you'll see we're now 11.1.9, where we used to be 1.1.7. So a new feature here is this search. So for example, if I were to take this and write LICEN %, and click enter, you can see I get license ID. It's not case sensitive, by the way. I got a capital L and I looked for a small l. So I have license and I have licensor. I have ending in E, ending in O. And now I can see all of the different values here. So I was able to quickly find all of the fields which have license, I'm going to undo that, without needing to open up each thing and start looking around. Going down here and saying, is there license here? Closing this one, and saying electronic collection, is there license here? Etc. I automatically got it just by searching. So that's one thing. Now also, if you notice here, they're not in alphabetical order. And that's on purpose, by the way. We always put on top the folder which contains the measures. This portfolio has the measures, the yellow ones, the amounts of results, and that always goes on top. But if I'm looking for a particular folder, then I can sort it here. And this sort, we're going to do it in a moment, will sort both the folders as well as the contents of the folders. For example, service type is now description and then code. And coverage information and other information, portfolio library unit, service type we said is not in alphabetical order, electronic collection name, this one's all CDE, yep, this one is. So we'll use as our example the one that's not already alphabetical order, which we said was service type. So now if I come and I sort alphabetically, first of all, now all the folders are alphabetical. If you remember before, portfolio was on the top, the one with the measures. Now these are all alphabetically arranged. LC classifications also now is alphabetically arranged. If I put this back in the standard order, sort in the saved order, the order it comes in, now you'll see portfolios back on top, and if we go to the LC classifications, it's no longer in alphabetical order, because here also, we don't want it in alphabetical order. We want the start and the end together, then all the groups together, the classification code, the start range and the end range we want together. We want these together and these together, the start. So it's not alphabetical until I say sort A to Z. Then they become alphabetical. I can more easily find them, or I can just search for them. So that's the sort and the search. Now while we're at it, let's go back to this license. Okay, I'm going to take let's take anything here. Let me go to title. Okay, so I have title here, bibliographic details title. And let's also take, let's see, what do we have here for name? Okay, I have name, public name. Let's say, for example, I'm going to get everything with name. I'm going to do a mixture again. I'm going to answer a separate question which came out while showing something else in the OBI EE 11.1.1.9. So let's say, first of all, I want to find all of the titles with a word in it, chemistry, for example. But I know, or kangaroo, let's use kangaroo. But I know it might appear with a capital and it might appear without a capital. And it might be kangaroos and it might be kangaroo. So what can I do here? I'll take this bibliographic details title. First of all, let's get out of here. Clear my search. I'll go back to the bibliographic details title. I'll put it in again. And this time, I'll take this title and I'll make it lowercase so that I can search only lowercase. I'll say edit formula, function, I'm clicking on the bottom left here, insert function, and I'll say string lower. I could also make it uppercase and then just search in uppercase. So now, okay, now I have the regular title and I have lower title. Let's say lower title, I'm going to say filter. I'll say contains any. Contains any means it can be anywhere in the title, and I'll search for kangaroo. That's going to give me with a capital or without a capital because the whole thing is lowercase and I'm searching only the lowercase. If I were to say convert this to SQL, by the way, which I don't need to do, but if I were to, I would see that the contains any is using these percent marks, meaning it's looking for it even if there's a letter right before it or a letter right after it. So, you know what? I'm going to search for that. Or I'll also use chemistry. I'll say chemist. That'll give me chemist, chemistry, and I guess that's it. Okay. Well, let's even say chemical. Here we go. Now, I don't need to display this lowercase title. And let's see what we got. Results. So now I have the portfolio license name, the electronic collection public name, and the bibliographic details title. And I searched for lowercase kangaroo and lowercase chemical. Let's see what we got. Okay, so first of all, you can see I have biochemical, which is lowercase, the chemical, and I have 100 chemical, which is uppercase. Interesting, I don't think there's any kangaroos here. Anyway, you can see also here I have geochemical, which is lowercase, geochemical here. And we said before I started out with a capital chemical. So I'm able to search uppercase or lowercase, because here's uppercase here, because I started by first making everything lowercase and searching for that, but displaying it as it's saved in the database, the regular title. So that's a way to search regardless of the case, non-case sensitive search. Now, back to the feature in OBI. Let's say I don't know where this public name is from. It's either, maybe it's from the collection, maybe it's from something else, and I'm not sure where it is. So I could have, in the criteria, I could have gone here and said edit formula and clicked here to custom headings and then wrote here whatever. Or from the results, I can click, let's let those results go. I can click the view properties right here, which is also new, the fact that it's here, but we'll talk about that in a second. I'll click that. And then the display folder and column headings, instead of saying only the column headings, I'll say give me the folder and the column. Then it's going to give me for all of them, not only the name, let it finish, it's giving me now not only title, name, and public name, it's giving me the name of the column as well, in other words, where it's coming from. The electronic collection public name, the portfolio license name, the bibliographic details title. By the way, while we're here, the fact that this edit view properties appears here is also new in OBI 11.1.1.9. It used to be that in order to get to this view properties, I would first need to click this pencil to edit the view. I'm going to click it now. And then on top here, you'll see in a moment on top, I have the link to the edit view properties. Let that processing, please wait. Here I've got the table view properties also. But I used to have to first click the pencil and then come here. I don't need to do that anymore. It's directly in the criteria tab. Okay, so that covers the search and sort options. I'm going to go back to the participant list. Are there any questions or comments on that? No questions or comments. Okay. Let's just see anybody else with us. I see Judith M. has joined us. Welcome, Judith, and good morning. Okay, somebody writes alpha is all or nothing. What do you mean, Mary? Alpha, is that a question or are you pointing something out? I see you're muted, Mary. I'm going to unmute you in case you want to speak. Oh, alpha is not at folder level? I don't get that. Alpha is not at folder level. I'm not sure exactly what you mean. Never mind. Okay, if you want to write to me direct later, Mary, or if you want to clarify, that's fine as well. Okay. Next, and welcome Judith M., who joined us recently. Good morning. Okay, next. Next, we have the ability to create a new measure. This is a nice one also. Let's say, for example, we'll make a new analysis, and let's go to the Alma link resolver. So we'll say new analysis and link resolver usage. And let's say I want now bibliographic details, subjects, and let me do it again. I'll make the subjects be lowercase. We'll say edit formula, function, string, lower, and this time I will take this lowercase subjects and I will say filter contains any engineering, okay. And I will say, just so I don't get a million things here, I'll say request year is equal to 2016. And let's say I want now the number of requests and the number of services. Let's see what we get first of all. I probably didn't need to display here now the subjects, but we've already got them. Let's do it. This is, of course, going to give us now all of the subjects together with the semicolons because we didn't separate it using our pre-saved field. We could have done that as well. Okay, great. So let's say now, I'm going to remove these subjects from here. But let's say now I want to make a brand new measure, which will be the number of requests plus the number of services. We're not going to get into right now what is the request, what is the services. But let's say I want a new measure, which is both of them combined. So I have here a new calculated measure. This new button up here on top, new calculated measure. Before I do that, I'm going to go back to the criteria tab. And let's get rid of these subjects here. We don't need to display these. And it's all 2016, so we don't need that. And over to the results. Okay, so now I'll say new calculated measure. Let's even throw in here request date, request month key. Let's do that. Request month key, and we will put in the request year. Great. And I'll sort this ascending so it looks logical. Okay, now I want my new measure. Didn't I sort that ascending? Okay. Oh, there must be another sort in there. Anyway, so now I'm going to say new calculated measure. And now I'll choose on the left which ones I want in there. So I'll take the number of requests. I'll click the arrow. It's over there. Then on the bottom, I'll say plus. Then I'll say plus the number of services. I'll move this one over. And now, there we go. Now I've got a new service here, a new measure, very simply made. There is a way to make it manually differently, but this is a sure way to do it without any errors in the middle. and it's adding these and these. 82 and 102 is 184, and there it is. So I was able to make a new measure right on the fly. If I go to the criteria tab here, I can see that new measure also, and here it is. And if I go to the edit formula, it'll be just what we made. Okay, any questions or comments on that? That's the ability to make a new measure. Clicking on the participants list, Judith M., do you have a question or comment? Can you hear us all right, Judith M.? Yes, she can. She raised her hand. Okay, and I'll assume everyone else can hear us. Let's continue. So, tree map visualization. Okay, this one's a tad complicated, but we can do it. So I'm going to use a report I already made earlier this morning or yesterday or sometime as an example here. So let me go to catalog. And I've got one here called number of loans and renewals by location. Let's click on edit. And it's a fairly basic report. What I've done is put out the measure of the loans and the measure of renewals in the fulfillment subject area and the location name. So I've got the list here. It's pretty basic, and we can see right off the bat that my biggest two locations for loans is the course reserves and the stacks. You can see here and you can see here. And you can see, let's even write that down. So we have two biggest locations for loans is stacks and course reserves. However, and horrible spelling, but that's all right. We know what it means here. And the two biggest places for renewals is stacks in the Gush Etzion room. So we'll say for renewals, we've got stacks and, did you see that copy paste, by the way? That's also new in OBI 11.1.1.9. For renewals is the stacks in the Gush Etzion room. Okay, now, if we take a new view, so there's a new one here called a tree map. The tree map uses two measures, and it compares them using size for the first measure, in this case loans, and color for the second measure, in this case renewals. So you can compare what's the biggest according to the different measures. Let's take a look at something here. So we see, we didn't even have to use Notepad. We can just scroll up and down. In fact, let's put this out to PDF, and then we'll see it all together. Okay, export is in process, open like this, wonderful. So now you can see it says here size is loans and color is renewals. Size is the first measure, and we said stacks and course reserve are the biggest for loans, so they're the biggest in size. Then we've got the Gush Etzion room, the reading room, and the audio-visual approximately the same size, which is here also. Reserves and audio-visual are much smaller. Audio-visual, it's much narrower here. Reserves is smaller. But you can see the stacks in the Gush Etzion room are the same color because, like we said here, the stacks in the Gush Etzion room are the two biggest locations for renewals. So we see here on the bottom, color renewals, they're the same color because they're the two biggest there. They're the first quartile, as it says here. So, or the fourth quartile. They're the same quartile. So they're the same color because they're the biggest on the renewals, but stacks and course reserves are the largest because they're the biggest on the loans. So the tree map allows us to compare different measures by size and by color. Okay, let's see if there's any questions or comments on that one. I don't want to save changes to that. Go to the participants. Any questions or comments there? No questions or comments. Judith M., no questions? Everyone still hears all right here? Just quick hand raise to the two who don't already have their hands up, just to make sure everybody's hearing. I don't want to find out later on that for the past 10 minutes nobody heard. Okay, the hands are going up. Great. Okay, next. So that's the TreeNet. Print and export options. Okay. So we can also manipulate what we want to appear when we're exporting things. So let's take the number of loans and renewals by location. Let's take the one we already have open right here. And I'll get rid of my tree map. And we'll go back to criteria. And we'll get rid of the renewals. We'll say delete the renewals. And let me just save this. And we'll call this print and export options. Ask the expert. This is for APAC region. Even though I see there are people from other regions, but this hour we designed for the APAC region. We're doing this again at 5 p.m. local time here, which is another long time from now. Okay. So let's say here, I've got my table, and in the results, I'll add a pie or a chart or some other kind of view. I could have actually done this with the tree map as well, but let's not go too crazy mixing all the features together. So I'll say now, let's do a pie. So I've got this nice pie, and like we saw before, I can go right into my view properties without clicking the pencil first. And let's say in my titles and labels, I want my data markers to always show the value, not just when I roll over. Okay, when I mean roll over, I don't mean like a dog going on his back. I mean the rollover is that if you put your mouse on here, it'll give the number, and I said now always, so I always have the number here. Okay, not the mouse rollover. So this is saved. Now if I come and I say PDF, open with, I have the standard PDF. It includes my table. The table has a set width and for each column, and the PDF is in portrait. Portrait meaning the wide part is top to bottom is longer than side to side, as opposed to landscape. So I have new options here in OBIEE 11.1.1.9 called print and export options. Now the print and export options existed before, but not everything I have here. In fact, I compare them here, save and reuse, search and sort, create new measure, tree map. Here we are. So this is the 11.1.1.7 on the bottom. And here I'm comparing them. On the left, you can see now we have the option to include charts, images, and formatting, and also the column options. And you see here it's orientation default, here it's orientation portrait. Watch what happens now. If I choose orientation custom, new fields open, and I can say I want my PDF landscape or portrait. I'll say I want my PDF landscape. And let's say now I don't want the charts. I'll say OK. So I said no charts, and I said landscape. The tables, the report still has the chart, pie chart in this case. And now I PDF it. And now I no longer have the pie chart, even though it's in the report because I changed my options. Oh, by the way, we didn't even notice. If I put this out to PDF, you'll see It's also landscape. It's kind of hard to see now, but I can't even scroll because it's by width now. The width is longer than the height. It's a landscape. So now let's put back the charts. Let's throw in a header just for the fun of it. A table and chart for Alma University. That's the name of my demo environment. For loans by location for 2016 or whatever it is. And I'm going to click here. And now I can say I want this to be pink. And I want it to be bold. That's pretty crazy. I'm going to have a pink bold header. Okay. Oh, I was looking for this one time. Yesterday, Eliav, you're on the call here. Yesterday, I was asking how I can, let's see something here. I was asking how I can make this go. I'm going to see if this contains HTML markup is now going to make this break lines. I'm not sure this is going to do it. We're going to experiment together. Okay. Now, I'm also going to say my fixed column width for the table will go crazy here. I'll say I want it 500. Just to see that it's really doing something. Let's see what's going to happen now. So I am including the chart. I'm still landscape. I included a pink bold header with a line break, and I have a fixed column width of 500. Oh, it can only be up to 300. Okay, fine. I don't want to break any laws of the OBI. Let's try it out now. PDF. Suspense. Beautiful, look at that. So now I have big wide columns because I said 300 pixels. Let's make this a little bigger for everybody. I have a line broken pink bold header on my landscape PDF. Very nice. Okay, any questions or comments there? I'm back in the participants looking to see. You can just yell out a question. You can send in a chat or whatever you'd like. No questions or comments. Okay, so we're moving right along here. That was the print and export options. And now adding options. Let's save this one for the end because it's important, but there's more important ones and we have 15 minutes. And table view properties from the compound layout. Oh, that one I already showed you. Just to repeat, it's the fact that now I can go right into here, this table view properties, without first needing to click on the pencil, wait for it to load, and then clicking the view properties on the top. I can go right in from the results screen, what they call the compound layout, what it says right here, compound layout. So previously I had to first click the pencil, then the table view properties. I no longer need to do that. Okay, so that's clear to everybody, and we already pointed it out. New previews. Okay, so previously, you see here on the bottom how it looked before version 11.1.1.9 is you just had one default option to export. Now you've got a bunch of them here, and my favorite is the Fusion FX. I'll show you the Fusion FX. So you've got all of these new options. Check out the Fusion FX. Isn't that beautiful? So you got your basic table on top, nothing overly extravagant. And if I did this to PDF, I'd have my pink bold header. And it comes out looking nice. You've also got a couple of other options here. The Skyros Cloud. Also a nice one. It's got the fancy Oracle Business Intelligence header there. And you can experiment with these on your own. We don't need to waste everyone's time. This is one called BFALP. Different header. It doesn't have the fancy black one that the Skyros Cloud has. And I'm not sure why they called it BFALP, this here, but BLAFP, but that's what it's called. Skyros Regular. This is the Skyros Regular without the Skyros Cloud. You can see it's got a slightly different table here. It's not dark dark shaded graph. It's just light shaded there. It's still got the black covering. Okay, it's got the name of the report here. And that's the new export options. No need to go in depth there. It's pretty easy to play with on your own. Here I've got the fuse, the Styros cloud. Okay, now this is a small one, what we're going to show now, but it's so useful. This is the copying text from the results tab. I don't know about you, but what we used to have to do here, we'd be checking someone's support incident, for example. Let's do a little test here. New analysis. So we'd be checking some kind of issue for either an analytics issue or a non-analytics issue where we're getting the data in analytics, and let's say we had a barcode or a patron ID or something like that, and we wanted to then go into Alma to search for it. We would then need to either export to Excel or export to some kind of format that we could copy and paste from, because from the results tab it wasn't possible to copy and paste. Let's get everything with a creation date, August 4th. Let's see if anything was created August 4th, just so we've got something here. And barcodes created August 4th. Great. So now all I have to do is just select it, Control C, and then I can go in here and I can search, for example, by physical items, paste the barcode, and then I got it. Very small feature, very useful, however. Saves a lot of time needing to first export, then copy, or we'd open a notepad and try to copy it on the side, etc. Big time saver. Okay, let's go now to the adding options to refresh, print, and export dashboards. Let's see what we mean here. Now I'm going to go into a different demo environment here. So let me close my mail. That's not very polite to keep having those pop-ups come. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm going to go into a different environment here. I'll go into my Alma University environment. August release, which just came out yesterday, including the inventor of jogging. Nobody in the world jogged until it was invented. Okay, design analytics. Let's say I go to a dashboard. Now I'll use one of our upcoming exciting new dashboards. I'll go to the community where we've got them. November, we're coming out with some fantastic new reports and dashboards, default ones, which are going to cover a lot of new information. And I'm right now going to open any of them. So I'll take this physical item usage for weeding and open. So here's my, I'll just choose a library here, main library. Okay. Here's my dashboard. I could export this dashboard various ways, or I can make a link automatically appear on the bottom of the dashboard, and that's what we're going to look at now. So, for example, this is part 7 here. So right now on the bottom, we're going to look at ours in a minute. On the bottom, there won't be any option to refresh, to print, or to export the dashboard. Here's my dashboard. And you can see on the bottom, even if I scroll all the way down, I've got return, I've got create bookmark link. I don't have the option to print, to refresh, or to export. So what we're going to do here is click this little link here to edit the dashboard. And this dashboard has all kinds of permissions. So one moment, please. I'll take it catalog again, and I will edit. Okay. Great. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, print and export options. Now, print and export options. So now we can add here to customize it to export, refresh, and print. Oh, this is a different one. Sorry about that. Print and export options. Include charts, images. Wait a minute, let's do this. Sorry about that, everybody. New, nope, sorry. Column properties. I got to take one from inside my area here. Sorry about this, everybody.
Third option.
Let's go to, pardon?
The third option. The link.
Third, you want me to go back into here?
No, go back.
I'm with you.
Go back to the edit and to the page report links. This is what you show.
Ah, beautiful. Thank you. Oh, that's Judith M.
Yeah.
Judith M. was from the former Gush Etzion location that we looked at before. So thank you, Judith M. So we've got export, print, and refresh. Is that what I put here? Page report links. Yep, that's the third option. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, Judith. Okay, refresh, print, and export. Okay. Now I'm in the first tab here. I'm going to save it. Then I'm going to run it. And wait a minute, I saved it? Or something's going on here. We got through 55 minutes of the session. Everything worked perfectly. Minute 55. Oh, here we are. Edit dashboard. Okay, now we're at the place. Edit dashboard. Third option. Export, refresh, and print. Let's go, follow our directions. Page report links. Customize, refresh, print, and export. Now save and rerun the dashboard. Okay, we'll follow directions here. Okay, save. Great. Now we're going to rerun it. We'll go to catalog. We'll click open. And Judith, you have a suggestion? We don't have on the bottom our links. Okay. There they are. Whew, that was a close call, huh? Now we have what we didn't have before, refresh, print, and export. Let me show you. Speaking of export, we have 4 minutes left. I've got to show you this one. So anyway, we added the refresh, print, and the export. Thank you, Judith M., for the assistance. And now for the grand finale. As you know, there's been a lot of issues that a lot of people have wanted to export either their entire catalog, but let's not go too crazy, or at least a lot of things. And up until now, our limitation was 65,000 lines per export. So we've upped that now to considerably more than 65,000. It's now 250,000 lines, with the ultimate goal being 500,000 lines. And for example, if I go here, this is all demo, even though it might look like a real institution. So here, if I take, for example, all items in the repository, and I export this to CSV, it's going to take a little while now, but this is going to give us 250,000 lines in a CSV. It's actually 249,000 and then a couple of hundred. It's almost 250,000. By the way, previously it wasn't 65,000. It was 64,803. It's always a little less because it's also taking into consideration a few other things. There are header lines, which you actually don't see, that the OBI sees. In any case, oh great, it's already done. So I'm going to open up the CSV file with Excel, but I could open it with anything I wanted. And we'll see in 1 minute that we're going to have almost 250,000 lines. That was one of the main reasons that we upgraded the OBI. There's been constant requests ever since the beginning to increase that 65,000, and you'll see once this opens that will be at 250,000. As you can see now, it's taking a long time because it's a large file. Do you have a time frame? Just got a question here. Yoel, do you have a time frame when we can export 250,000? You can export 250,000 right now. I'm on the regular version here. As soon as the call's over, you can go and do it, and you'll be able to export 250,000. But it's only to CSV, which, as you see, you can open in Excel. The 500,000, I don't have an exact time. We're waiting to make sure. We're going to let this 250,000 sit here for a while and make sure everything is stable, which it has been so far, but it's only been about a week since the OBIEE 11119 has been there. So not available to Analytics API. Well, the Analytics API, oh, right, the Analytics API. Eliav, you're on the call, aren't you? Does this 250,000 limit apply also to the APIs? I'm consulting my colleague here. See if he's still on. Eliav, if you're there and listening, otherwise, Chris, I'm going to check. Let me write that down. I don't think it does apply to the APIs. Oh, he just came in. Okay, he's here. And he's also not sure. We're going to have to test that one. I don't think it's going to affect the APIs, but we'll have to check and see. Meanwhile, the operation export is in process. Unknown time remaining. Yeah, it's a very big file. So I will check that of how long that's, let me write that down here. I'm going to say, does the increase to 250K also affect the 65K line limit of the APIs? We tested it with the APIs on the 65K. It took some time. We had to write a little program because it does the next key. What do they call that key? It gives you like 10 at a time, and then it says it's not finished, and then there's a key you have to put into the API, and it gives you the next 10 and the next 10. So we did something that got us eventually to 65,000. Anyway, if anyone wants to go, we're past the time. I can stay here. Oh, export process is complete. Let's not despair. Let's see what's going on. In a moment, it's going to open this. The export is, oh, this is still going. 18, wow, 18.2. That's what happens. It's a huge file, which is one of the reasons now that we're doing it only to CSV and that we're making sure everything's stable. There we go. So now it's opening up, and you'll see it'll be almost down to 250,000. I mean, yeah, 250,000, going to go all the way there. 249,901. And then you get a message here, exceeded configured maximum number of inputs. So that's the increase. It used to be 65,000. Now it's almost 250,000. Okay, that brings us to 2 minutes past time. Thank you everyone for joining. Are there any last minute questions or comments anyone wants to say? Oh, I see Joan joined us as well. Welcome, Joan. Okay, looks like there's no other questions or comments, so thank you everyone for joining us. We're considering doing one of these, by the way, on the patron purchase requests. Considering it, we want to see if there's any interest. Another Ask the Expert session.
Yoel, sorry, before you go.
Yes.
I was just wondering, I sent you a question. Is there a resource that we can use to define the all of the insert functions in the edit formula option? Today you were using the lower and upper option, and I'm just wondering, is there something you can reference us to that could define all of those formulas?
Okay, the question was, is there something to reference or use as an aid in doing the edit formulas, like today when I did the upper and the lower? There's actually a very nice built-in thing here. When you take any field, let me take, I don't know, I'll take the title. So anytime you click down here, the insert function, it gives examples on each of them. So it says what it is, describes it, and it usually gives an example. So that's what I would recommend. Just click the function thing down here on the bottom left, and then you can choose things, and it more or less gives you the syntax. You can take that syntax and go to the internet, but this is definitely a good starting place here.
Thanks.
Okay, so thanks everybody, and we'll see you next time. Have a nice day.